All right, we're live. All right. I don't know if anybody's going to watch because I don't know how well known Hank Williams III is known, but tonight we're absent Hialeah, Comic Bro. His birthday's today, so if you message him or whatever, to wish him a happy birthday and all that good stuff. I'm sure he's out having a good time. But tonight we got my friend from the West Coast. Well, not from the West Coast, but he's on the West Coast. Conquistador Javi. How you doing, man?
What's going on, Donnie? Thank you for having me. Happy birthday, Hialeah. Shout out to Hialeah Comic Bro.
And back for his second appearance and his actual album show, Boatright, Mr. Jim Boatright.
What's happening, everybody? Thanks for having me again, man. I absolutely love this show, and I'm glad to be a part of it for a second time.
Awesome, man. This was a very out of the ballpark pick.
Yeah.
Change gears. That's kind of what I was shooting for.
Yeah.
Throw a little curveball to you guys, give you something new to hear.
Yeah. Especially me, because every album we've done so far I've heard. So it was fresh and I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Just the all around, the feel of the album is great. I suppose we should tell everybody that or whoever's going to watch what album it is. It is Hank Williams III, Straight to Hell. Just a great, classically tinged country album. If you're into the old school players like Waylon Jennings or both Hanks, or I believe it's mentioned on the album Cole Porter, definitely check this album out. And even the Outlaws like Dave Allen Co. I mean, it's right there.
Definitely.
So I want to thank Jim for picking this album, because I was boot scooting quite a bit.
But did you kind of understand when I say you got to be careful? Don't start drinking while listening to it, because it'll get you going. This album I have so many memories with this album, with family and friends, partying, having a great time, causing hell and havoc. So this album is it's in my top tier all-time albums, because it has so many memories and stuff that goes along with it that I just love it to death.
Right. And like you said, Jim, you got to be careful. You end up getting thrown out of every bar in town.
I mean, what, like 50% of the songs are about liquor, booze, getting into fights at bars,
drugs.
Fast-paced life.
Yeah, definitely.
Fast-paced life. Yeah.
Definitely. Just like in the song, he lives like he's on 10.
Yeah,
he got his dial set to 10. That's how he lives. And I had a good friend that tried to live that album, and it didn't work out for him too well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that is meant. I mean, I guess he's talking about himself, real life scenarios, but it's not like he's saying like, go out and do this, or he's not praising it, right? It's still
right.
There's still a seriousness behind it, where it's almost like he's his own he's his own enemy type of thing. Yep. And that's what he's dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Straight to hell, I already have this path sort of lined out for myself. Let me do it my own way,
Yep. And a little heartache on the way gets them there a little quicker.
Yep. So you were telling us about, the album is called Straight to Hell, right?
Yes.
But there was I mean, that's the first song on the CD as well. You know, we'll get into that, but this was an album already back in the 50s, like back in 59, I think, or the 60s.
Yes. The Leuven brothers, or Lovin' brothers.
Kicking it off.
That's so. Then this came out back in like 1959, I think.
I'm not sure on the date on this.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like it's from 59. What an awesome cover.
Yeah.
Have you listened to that?
I have. It's like a gospel album.
Yeah. But
It's
it's so ironic that it's a gospel album, but still it's called Satan is Real, you know? It's
raising awareness. Basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all Christian songs, you know. You got the Kneeling Drunkard's Plea, well, that's a great song. I think that was written by the Carter family. Stuff like that. Dying from Home and Lost, He Can Be Found, The Drunkard's Doom, Satan's Jeweled Crown, The Angels Rejoice Last Night, I'm Ready to Go Home, There's a Higher Power.
It almost sounds like a Flying Burrito Brothers album.
Yeah, Are You Afraid to Die is the other one, last one. But yeah, it's an interesting album. It's kind of like the Everly Brothers before the Everly Brothers, but gospel.
Yeah. But yeah, that song "Satan Is Real" is how he picked to open the album, along with the title tracks, and it works really well. I thought
It does.
I actually thought that it was him, but you had said that was the clip that they from that song that they used. Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was him too. I thought it was just him, like doing a harmony with himself. But I guess it's like you said, right? It's
little sound clip to open up the album to kind of give you a piece of what you're getting into.
right. The album came out. It was released in February of 2006, but it was actually recorded December of 04, January of 05. And this album has, from my research, it has a troubled story, shall we say, because he was going through some contract dispute with his record label,
Curb Records. And
as I understand it, he wasn't the only one. Tim McGraw also had issues with Curb Records, and they were releasing greatest hits album after greatest hits album instead of releasing new material that he had on the shelf. So all the issues seemed to be a record label issue.
He hated Curb Records with a passion, to the point to where he would sell bootlegs at his concert, at his shows. He would sell bootleg albums, and he would encourage you to bootleg anything you wanted of his.
Yeah,
because he did not want the record label to get the money, the royalty, you know, all this stuff, and I think he had a 5-album contract or something like that. And if you get a chance to listen to that 5th album, and in one of his songs, he tells Curb Records basically thank God his contract's over with them.
He actually had a full campaign that was fuck Curb Records.
Yeah.
That I thought, wow, this was a brutal a brutal
relationship. Yep.
relationship. Yeah, that's
And,
It tends to be like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the music industry worked, especially back then, this was like 2006, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so iPods and stuff like that, like the almost like the quick rise of technology, and people aren't really buying CDs anymore, so record labels trying to milk as much money as they can.
Well, and they weren't originally, they weren't going to release it. It was a different album under another name, and they weren't going to release it. So it was settled in court in his favor, and the judge said, you have to release this record.
That's what the contract says,
Yep. They weren't feeling what that new album was sounding like, because his first two albums were more traditional,
Right.
type, country type stuff, and this was a little more on the wilder side.
Yeah. It had a lot more punk elements than
exactly, because this particular album, compared to the first two, you can hear a lot more experimenting going on in the album, as far as different effects added to songs, different effects added to vocals, background effect. I mean, different things. You can hear tons of stuff that he was experimenting with. It was a two disc set album. Right. The second album had Louisiana Stripes on it, and then the rest of the album was just sounds like noise.
It was a 42-minute long song,
and it was all like noise and sounds.
It was just, I think it was just him pushing the record button, and then just like stopping and going, and coming back, and it's just one. I mean, if you listen to it, you really have to put in that time to listen to it, but it's just one 42-minute long sort of song.
It kind of reminds me of it was like a modern day Revolution No. 9 by the Beatles on the White Album.
Yeah.
All the different sounds and stuff going on in it. So you can tell he was experimenting with it compared to his first two albums.
Yeah.
What's up, Cookie?
What's going on, Cookie?
Yeah, I like the aspect that the recording venue, aside from being produced by him and two band members, Joe Buck, who I recognize from other music, but they recorded it in the steel guitar player's house at the time.
Andy Gibson is the steel guitar player.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was, what did he say? A house with a good wooden room in East Nashville.
Yeah, the musicians on that album were hands down just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, a lot of people say, oh, I listen to all types of music, but I don't listen to country. I don't know how many times I've heard that phrase before. Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, like you've just never like dived into like music like this, like country music, even from its roots, from like when back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, like country music always had very, very, very well-trained musicians, whether it be studio musicians or like fiddle players, violin players, that's what you go to Nashville, you're not going to find people that are just like amateurs, right? You're going to find the top dogs over there.
Yeah.
As far as studio musicians goes.
Yep. We wouldn't have the electric guitar if it wasn't for a country guitarist.
Right.
I mean, so all of today's music owes a lot to the forefathers of country music, and there's a lot of that he he brings to light in this.
Yeah, you had for I mean you can say you don't like country music, you know, everybody has their own opinion, but like you gotta say you have to appreciate these guys' musicianship. Like
Right.
they're playing their asses off and they're having fun, and they're a word that we've used before is that like the soul is there, you know, like
Absolutely.
that passion is there.
Even after one of the songs that you kind of get a joke on it because I mean it was a fast song. Then at the end he's like, "Hey, I need to warm up. I ain't flat picked in a week." And the song he was just shredding in the song, like, oh my god, it was just. I mean, absolutely, hands down, some of the best musicians, man, that I've seen live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, I would love to see this live, you know.
And I had to. I didn't rec. Joe Buck was the only member of the band that I recognized. But what a phenomenal band that he has with him. I mean, it's just
yeah.
Joe Buck was awesome dude too. You know, I got to meet him and stuff, and he's hands down an awesome cat. He came a little later, and Hank's. I think he might have came towards the second album, I think, or somewhere around. He transitioned somewhere in there before Joe Buck got there.
I didn't recognize. I mean, I didn't recognize any of the musicians, but I know that there's studio musicians out in Nashville, and that just says enough for me.
Yeah, and I think on Hank's first 2 albums, he might have had studio
guys, but these are like true. Okay, so going back to the whole record label thing, this was the first DIY country music album. So Hank Williams, the artist, they broke away from the record label and they said, we're going to do this ourselves. And that's where you get the, recording at the steel guitar player's house. And
with a cheap chord workstation, no less.
Yeah, they had something that like anybody, you can just go into Guitar Center and buy like a mixing board, and
right.
It was just something that everyday people could use, and that's what they were using to record, produce, and engineer this album.
And he actively encourages people to do that. That he said everybody should have their own, workstation, so that they have more control over. And I agree. That should have been always the method.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they did it themselves,
and it sounds so good. The album sounds so good too.
It sounds great.
The sound and everything. Like earlier, I laid in bed, I stuck my earbuds in to listen to it again, and listening to it with earbuds and just laying there in the dark with my eyes closed, I was hearing stuff I hadn't heard before.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great, and it just sounded so good, man.
Yeah, I mean that's what blows me away about that whole recording process is like, wow, you can still kick it old school and make a great record. I love that.
And that's one thing with Hank too. He'll sit there and tell you nothing was handed to him. He had to work. He had to earn his. He had to earn his way. Even when he was a young man, he said he wasn't necessarily going to get into music because of his name. He got into music because he needed to pay child support.
Yeah.
But he was putting up garage doors. That was his living, working on garage doors. Friggin' grandson of Hank Williams installing garage doors.
Yeah.
Then he's like, I gotta do something. I'm behind on child support, man.
Yeah.
I gotta make a living, man.
Yeah.
And make a living, yeah.
Did it,
Well, I had mentioned offline about an interview I had watched earlier with Hank, and he was talking about, he brought up the album that they did with
the three Hanks,
and he was like you're gonna put it off as though you're paving the way for me. He says, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Taking the focus away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It must have been an interesting having them all three in a room, right? Interesting.
Well, two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
Which I would probably guarantee you, him and Junior weren't ever in a room together. Like they weren't even on talking terms for, like, he didn't have nothing to do with his dad.
Yeah.
Until, maybe around this time when this album dropped, or somewhere right around that time is when he kind of started. Because he even mentioned in the song, I think it was Angel of Sin, or forget which one it was, but at the time, that's when everybody was coming out saying that Kid Rock was related to Hank Jr. because they were always together. And, he kind of set it in stone that Kid Rock isn't related to Junior.
Yeah.
They weren't really, I don't think they were really talking
close,
much, hanging out. Yeah, close at all, because he was raised with his mom's side of the family.
Yeah. Yeah, because Junior was never around. He was always on tour or whatever.
Yeah.
He brought that up in the interview too, that he lived with his mom, and she wasn't real thrilled with his choices in music either.
Yeah.
He had said that, which what parent is,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, most people would assume that all he listens to is country, but yeah, he was a big time punk rock, hardcore metal fan.
Yeah.
As a kid, and still to this day.
This album was also the first ever country record to receive a parental advisory sticker or
label.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. And it was also his first release with explicit lyrics. I use that term loosely because what's not explicit anymore?
Yeah.
What is explicit, I should say.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's just a lot of drug references and things like that,
Yeah.
Alcohol, it's not like anything crazy, but yeah, it's just, I mean, it fits the music. That's the best way I could put it, I guess. It's it's crazy to think that in 2006, that's the first album that was to come out with a parental advisory.
Yeah.
And then I also that might have something to do because he's real firm on the belief of modern Nashville music is candy and
garbage.
They're all a bunch of ass kissers. All the musicians are ass kissers.
Yeah.
And he's bucking the system, and they don't like it. And that's why I think Curb gave him a lot of headaches, because he was bucking and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because he was making, some of the songs and stuff like that, it made some of the Outlaws back in the day look like, kindergartners.
Except for Co.
Yeah, except for Co.
Co was the original system bucker.
Yep.
I guess I'll bring up the album cover. Real simple. Just Hank 3. I like the use of the
railroad ties.
Yeah, the railroad ties. And I don't. Are those cave paintings behind them? I'm trying to figure that out.
Looks like just like a parchment or something. I don't know.
Is it a parchment? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like a map or something, like an old scroll. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
there's definitely some blood markings there, you know.
Yeah. And that right there kind of symbolizes a lot too, not just because it's 3, but the ties and blood and stuff. You know, you got straight to hell, you got symbolism with Christ. You know, if you want to go that route.
I get it was it all came since it was a double disc, it all came together, right? It just
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and that was the other thing I was going to mention. Another part of the delays was disputes with Walmart, and the release because of the parental advisory. So it ended up being released in 2 formats.
And still couldn't get played on the radio.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not radio material.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, it makes for the album cover, you know. It does the album justice.
There we go. That's the one I wanted.
I didn't realize those were railroad pins until you mentioned that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, which railroads go with country music, you know.
Yeah. I didn't realize it until I blew it up, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're railroad ties."
Yeah. Hank 3. Yeah, so there's number 1, Satan is Real, Straight to Hell, which is the first half is that Lovin version. I guess the sample, I guess they just throw that in there, and then it goes straight to hell.
Yeah, and that when the transition in that, it just reminded me so much of Brian Setzer. I was like, oh, I love it. That's that fast trot. That was great.
There's like that, I don't know if you remember, but that like diabolical laugh that transitions the 2 songs.
Yeah.
And it fits so perfect. It's pretty awesome.
Like I said, everything in this album it was produced perfectly. And it's like also too, it's like for my experience back in the day, throwing this on while partying and drinking and stuff like that, you let it rotate, and as the night starts slowing down, winding down, you're getting tired, getting wired, or whatever's going on, the album slows down. You know, the album closes with the slow songs, as if, you know, the night's winding down.
Yeah, the first couple of songs, you're right. I mean, the first couple of songs are just like straight upbeat.
I mean, the whole album kind of goes up in that, but right at the very end, they're really slow songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to me, every time I hear that, I just reminisce about the party coming to an end. Everybody's sitting down, everybody's just chilling and calling it a night.
It was so I read this in an article. This is savingcountrymusic.com. And they wrote this on the 10th anniversary of the album. And they were saying how the album was a mix. It had influences of which, and I'm talking about this like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't listen to country music, but it has mix of country punk and country metal, like influences of that, or like it kind of touches on those, but it's still very much a country record. You know, it doesn't cross that boundary into that genre. It still sticks within country, but it kind of pulls elements from that.
That's definitely a good assessment.
Wikipedia lists the genre as country, outlaw country, neo-traditional, and cowpunk.
Cowpunk?
What the hell is cowpunk?
I don't know. That sounds.
It's
That's
a sub-genre
that's
of
country punk. That's country
Yeah.
punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Hank 3 normally would call it hellbilly.
Hellbilly. That's great. That's perfect. Yeah.
What the examples include Social Distortion, the Long Riders, the Violent Femmes. I never thought of the Violent Femmes as hellbilly, but I guess. And the Meat Puppets. Interesting. I couldn't find sales numbers for the album.
All I know, according to Wikipedia, it topped 17 on the country albums and was 73 on the Billboard. But I mean, this is another thing that the article mentioned, was that even though it might not have done that good in sales, that doesn't mean that it was still one of the most influential albums, I guess, of the time. And I guess it inspired that generation of country music that was trying to be outlaw. And, you know, a lot came out of it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different bands and artists and people that were inspired by him just doing it himself and wanting to record their own album by themselves, type of thing.
Yeah, and at the time there was a lot of no-name acts that were doing similar stuff, the traditional country or the old stuff and whatnot, but with their own little spin on it, and they were absolutely amazing. Just nobody knows about it because, you know, the radio and stuff like that don't want to hear any of that.
Right.
Which for me, charting at 73 on the 200, to me that's really good, considering no radio play, and a lot of people have never heard of it.
Yeah.
Let alone.
That's just straight fans, not to mention all the bootlegs that could have been made from, you know, some of those.
I'm sure there's a lot of people don't even know he exists.
Yeah.
So.
Because he did encourage bootlegging, so.
It says that fans who bought the album at independent record stores were given a free 12-inch picture disc, like a vinyl,
mm-hmm.
that included the hidden track, I guess on both sides, like split into two sides. So yeah, man, he was all about independent.
Dang it.
It says, oh, no way. It says that the 42-minute track that we were talking about, it has a cover version of Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's freaking cool.
That's awesome.
I've actually never heard that one.
Where is it?
Yeah, for the longest time, no, Hank 3, he was in my radio all the time.
Yeah. I don't even think I knew there was a Hank 3. I knew there was a Hank 1 and 2, you know, but
My recollection of that is when they were talking about the rumor that Jim brought up earlier with Kid Rock. That was as far as mine. I was like, what? And then when after that, I knew he existed, but I didn't know he was doing music. Despite the fact that I have a Superjoint Ritual album and he played bass on that album. So
he is a well-versed musician. He plays bass, he plays drums, he plays guitar. I mean, I don't know what can't he play, you know. He's a drummer first, you know. He grew up playing drums.
Very good drummer too.
Yeah. And with the bass, you know, the whole story behind the Superjoint thing is Phil came to him and said, "Hey, you want to join the band?" He's like, "But I need you to give 100% every night on stage. There ain't gonna be none of this stuff like that." So he's like, "I went out and I give him 110 every night." He's like, "I try to bring Cliff Burton back from the dead every time he's on stage." And he does, man. Every show, you know, all the time, the few times that I've seen him, man, he gives his all, you know.
Does he sing for Superjoint Ritual too, or no?
No, he just plays bass with Phil.
Yeah.
And he started another band after Superjoint with Phil called Arson Anthem. He played drums in that one. Phil, the singer from Pantera and stuff, he played guitar. And then the guy from I Hate God sang.
That's what it was. I was trying to remember. I knew there was a third person in that band with them, and I couldn't remember who it was.
And I can't remember his name. Forgive me. And Hank 3's also, he's done stuff with the Melvins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, he's well-versed, man. He's not a one-trick pony.
Yeah. That's awesome. I got to say that I don't know.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams, that's right. I should have known that because I know a Mike Williams.
So do I.
I have to listen to this album more, but I think one of the songs that stuck out to me, I don't know if I can say I have a favorite song, but one of the songs that stuck out to me was I like Lowdown. That's a good song.
Yeah, Lowdown's good.
Yeah, I can't pick. Me personally, I cannot pick one single song that I like more. Because, I mean, to me, this whole album from start to end is great. You know, I love Country Heroes. I love Lowdown. I love Pills I Took. I love Smoking Wine, Crazy Country. I mean, I love them all.
Yeah. Yeah, they all hit. They all hit so well. It just. I don't know either.
The song, you know, and I discovered so many bands through Hank 3, listening to his albums, where he'll shout out, you know, certain musicians and stuff like that I would have never heard of if it wasn't for him, you know.
Yeah.
Like Wayne the Train Hancock, Dale Watson, Those Poor Bastards. Those Poor Bastards is the song that The Pills I Took.
Yeah.
That's their song.
Oh.
And you know, some of the songs on his first album, he covered some Wayne the Train. You know, I searched out and checked out Wayne the Train, and Hank Williams III calls Wayne the Train the modern day Hank Williams. He's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
Hank, what is it? Hank Train?
Wayne the Train Hancock.
Wayne the Train.
And And Dale Watson, he's been in the business for a long time. Nobody's heard of him, but like over in Europe and stuff, he's got like all kinds of like achievement awards and stuff like this for being a musician, songwriter. And over here, he don't get no love, but Dale Watson's absolutely amazing too. He kind of sounds like a mix between like Merle Haggard and, well, mostly like Merle Haggard. He kind of has a Merle Haggard style voice and songs that he sings.
I'll have to check him out because I like Merle Haggard.
Yeah, you'll like Dale Watson then.
I guess song-wise for me, I like a song that tells a story, and that first group of songs, every one of them has a certain storytelling element. Like Thrown Out of Every Bar, definitely Country Heroes. And this morning, the first song in my head when I woke up was D. Ray White, and I had it in my head all morning. I thought maybe that's my favorite one.
Which that family he's singing about is a unique family, and I want to say it might be on Amazon Prime. I can't remember what stream. It might be on Amazon Prime, might be Netflix, but there's a documentary type movie called Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. That's about them, the white.
Okay.
And D. Ray White, he was a dancer. He, the old country like tap dancer type. The old country guys that tap dance.
Yeah, like line dance, I guess. I don't know.
Not a line dance. It was like a tap dance where they click.
Okay.
And the song and the song D. Ray White, at the end, that's just go click click clack click 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 clack click click clack. That's him dancing.
Oh shit! No way.
But yeah, he was a dancer. He was like a old dancer guy from back in the day.
Nice.
But they're crazy. Talking about a crazy, crazy, crazy family. That family is out there. You'll watch that if you watch that documentary, you're like, man, those are some white trash people.
Oh man.
I might know some people around here that might identify with them.
But there's, like I said, there's some other album. There's another album where he did a song about Popcorn Sutton. He was a moonshiner.
Yeah.
And so I guess he picks some people sometimes and does songs about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched some Popcorn Sutton documentaries.
Yeah.
He was wild. What was it? He got arrested, 37 times or something like that?
Yeah. He ended up committing suicide because he was getting ready to go back to the big house and he wasn't going to go. I had a friend that lived up in North Carolina for a while and actually got to meet him and knew him real well.
He still drove an old, what was it, a Model A truck or something like that? Rumbled over across the mountain.
Yeah, that song is definitely it's a fun song. I mean, I didn't know. I figured that it might have been real people that he was talking about, but I wasn't 100% sure. But now I got to check out this documentary.
Yeah. It's something else.
I think if I had to pick a favorite, probably be Country Heroes. That's, I don't know, just that one resonates for me.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. If I had to pick. But I like Louisiana Stripes too, even though that wasn't on the main.
On the main disc, yeah.
On the main disc. Louisiana Stripes is pretty awesome too.
I think I'm going to have to see if I can find that by itself, because I was listening to it on through Amazon, and they only played the first.
Check out Pandora.
Okay.
You can listen to the whole album on Pandora.
I used to have a Pandora account. um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not somebody who listens to country music, but like I said, I can appreciate the passion and the hard work that these guys put into this album. You can definitely hear it in the music. These guys aren't messing around. They're not going to come out with some album just to come out with, even though he might have been under contract, I don't, I'm sure there was some sort of legal dispute, but a lot of people who will get stuck in those record label contracts and they'll just come out with crappy albums just to get out of it.
right.
This album's not a joke, man. I didn't know what to expect, but that's the first impression I got from it, and I it's still almost 20 years, and this album is still, you can still listen to it.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I found I don't know if you've ever heard of Sputnik Music. There's an article on the album, and in the article, they said "Straight to Hell" is what an essential country album should sound like. There's no stripped down pop songwriting. There's no overproduction, and there's no sappy love songs. "Straight to Hell" is a venture into Three's thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. He isn't afraid to say what's on his mind. Though the lyrics sometimes are a bit cheesy, they get the point across. I mean,
it's perfect.
They didn't even need any of the other information in that article. That paragraph right there would fit the bill in its own, because that's exactly what I saw from this album. I mean, it's everything that he was thinking and feeling, especially at the time, because of things that he was dealing with, and with the record company and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then it brought up Dick and Dixie. It said it's easily one of the highlights to the album. An angry tirade against pop country, the Dixie Chicks, Travis Tritt, etc. I definitely agree with him on that. And growing up, we listened to a lot of Travis Tritt too.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I'm pretty much one of those people that listens to all types of music,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great album, man. And for the first 5 albums that he did with Curb, they were great albums. He didn't cut any corners or anything, as far as giving them good material. Some of the stuff after that, not really my favorite. Don't really listen to it much because he just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he gave some good material to Curb before his contract was up. So I mean, I would definitely recommend listening to any of the first 5.
Yeah, I guess a lot of his stuff later on got heavier,
Yeah, it kind of veered away the country,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't have necessarily a complaint with that. It's just I buy a country album, I want it to be country type, not necessarily. It's just, I don't know.
It's just a different route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little too hellbilly, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely a gateway. Like I said, I've been introduced to different musicians through his music, you know, that he shouted out or called out and stuff like that, and then listen to those musicians, and listen to bands that they shout out, and you know, so you just get like a nice little spider web of new music that you normally wouldn't hear or discover.
Yeah, I notice as I'm going through his albums and singles and stuff like that, I notice that he doesn't like to conform or stick to one genre. He's even doing some like industrial music and stuff like that. So yeah, he's really, like you said, well versed in experimenting, you know, trying to see how far he can push the envelope, I guess, with the whole country music persona, hellbilly type of thing.
Yeah. Trying to be first at everything.
Yeah, his latest song from 2018 sounds completely different than anything else that I've heard from him, or at least this album. What are you thinking, Donnie? Any thoughts?
It's just an all around great album. I mean,
we weren't. I mean, I wasn't expecting this, I guess, you know. But that's the whole beauty of it all, you know, just exploring new types of music and just giving it a chance and diving into it, you know.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people who are not familiar or even knew that he existed, you know, as soon as you say Hank Williams III, they're automatically going to assume one thing, one type of, you know, the type of person that might wear the old Porter Wagner, Hank Snow glittered, you know, suit, full like matching suit, you know, like the old Nashville days in the 60s and 70s. But yeah, he's definitely, he's a punk, you know, he's a punk rock fan. He's a punker, and he is the punk of country. You know, he brought punk to country.
Yeah, he just because he looks like his grandfather doesn't mean he is his grandfather.
Full of you know, he's got long hair, full of tattoos. You know, he's not your average country guy.
Right.
And the whole DIY thing too, that's pretty,
that's
inspiring, I guess you could say, you know.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And that goes back to the whole punk, you know, straight punk route, I guess.
Yep. And to boot, you know, he's a great dude. You know, he'll sit there after shows and he'll stay out there and he'll meet everybody until the last person's gone. And I've seen it for myself. I seen him, you know, he was meeting other people and stuff like that. And I just seen him do one of these, looking at anybody else. He went like this, then he left.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he stayed to the last person, you know, wanted to meet him. I'm talking literally played for about 3 hours, put his guitar down, grab a towel, put the towel around his neck, walked off stage, and then stood on the side of the stage in front of the stage, hanging out with everybody until the last person that wanted to meet him or sign something or talk to him till they were gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that won't even.
Nah.
They'll just grab a towel, Axl Rose walk off stage in a huff and not even acknowledge the people that put them where they're at.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of the bands I listen to these days, if I go see them in concert, I meet them. I'm guaranteed to meet somebody.
Yeah.
Always. And just about every show I go to, I meet them. And to me, I think that's gold right there, you know, because
Definitely. Yeah.
when I was younger, you know, you go to certain shows, you couldn't even get close to the backstage area, let alone for them to come out and hang out and sign and take pictures and kiss babies and whatever, you know. So, I mean, I'm lucky enough to the music that I listen to that I have the opportunity to hang out with the people. I even went to a show once, and after the show, I ended up having dinner with the band.
Oh, no way.
I mean, it's that type of stuff. Matter of fact, one of the bands I think that opened up for Hank, Artemis Power Driver. They were a swamp metal band, basically, like a southern type metal, kind of like a Nashville Pussy, kind of like them. But yeah, and the drummer was the show. I mean, because the band's name Artemis Pile Driver, after Artemis Pyle from Leonard Skinner. But the drummer was the show. His name was Travis Owen, and I think he's in a band called Weed Eater right now, a doom metal band. But anyways, after the show, he bought me. He said, "Hey man, you want to?" Because hey man, gotta get a picture with you. Yeah, sure. Hey, you want a drink? Sure. All right, come on. Took me to the bar with him. He got me a shot. We did a shot together. I'm like, that's the first time a band I come to see bought me a drink. But that's the type of people I like to listen to because they're good people. They care about their fans.
Yeah.
And that's how Hank was or is. He's not active, right now in the music business.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was, that's how he was. He cared.
That's awesome, man.
All right. Again, I want to thank Jim for coming on and picking this album because it opened my ears up to something I haven't heard before, and I'm gonna investigate a little further. I'm gonna do the earbud thing because just listening to it in my kitchen and jamming out is one thing.
Yeah, you'll hear stuff. Like I said, it's the first time I ever did that, and like I said, and I heard stuff this evening that I've never heard before.
Yeah, I might have to do that with a lot of music.
Oh, there's a YouTube video of Hank Williams III going over his Crate Diggers. It's going over his vinyl collection.
Oh,
that's the one. That's it. Did you say Crate Diggers?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one I watched earlier.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's awesome. I gotta check that out.
And Hank 3 also was the type of person that, like I said, I recently read that he doesn't have his house anymore or whatever. I don't know the whole story behind that. And there's a video somewhere out there that he'll show all the stuff like all over his walls and stuff in his house that fans made for him and he kept. And he hung it, he would hang it all up in his house.
That's awesome.
All right. All right. As always, I want to thank Javi for being on here. Again, I want to thank Jim for coming on. We missed Hialeah, but he'll be back again for the next show, which because I desperately want to do the album, I gotta find the notebook. Surfer Rosa by the Pixies. If you've never heard the Pixies, just check them out. Oh my God, check them out. Great stuff. Both Surfer Rosa and Doolittle are great albums. And it took me a while to break down which one I wanted to do. But I settled on Surfer Rosa because it's the first album that I listened to from them, and it's just a great album. Underrated band in my opinion. But so Hank Williams the third, Hank 3, Straight to Hell. Go check it out. Give it a chance. You might be disappointed. I don't know. But I wasn't disappointed.
Go check it out. Go check it out. If you're not a fan of country music, it's something to dive into and give a chance.
Right.
Even if you're a fan of rock music, classic rock music, this just hits as hard in a different way, but it still gets you going, and the musicianship is definitely top notch.
Yeah.
Yes.
The musicianship and what they were able to do in that good wooden room in the house.
Yeah.
So from Javi and myself and Jim, go listen to some music.